At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Jake Nulph Show. We're live here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. And honestly, Coach, some of these are more fun to do than others. In terms of, I mean, there's lots of complaining. There's lots of facets that can be improved upon. Obviously, certainly not a performance that anybody.
Our most disappointing performance to date, Joe. I mean, you don't have to sugarcoat it.
Yeah,
you don't have to put the PR campaign out there. I mean, look, we don't make any excuses in this program, and hats off to Coach Monica and his staff at Clarion. They beat us up, and they won the football game. They were the more physical team. They executed. We were -3 in the turnover battle, which anytime you do that, you're just flirting for a recipe with disaster. They capitalized on their opportunities, Joe. We did not. The thing I look at is, we had 20 rushing attempts to 47 pass attempts, and that's not a balanced offense. That's not exactly what we consider a recipe for success. I look at what Clarion was able to do with their rushing attack. I thought their quarterback was the most physical guy on the field. He was definitely, in my opinion, the star of the game. And he was efficient when he threw the football. Not only run for $150, he was 6 of 10, but those 6 of 10 were for 3 touchdowns, Joe. And, the kid made plays. We unfortunately weren't able to slow down that rushing attack that they had. We did in times, but then on the flip side of that, we just wasted on other opportunities in the first half. I think about, the opening play of the game. And we talk about special teams and how important they are here at Edinboro. And, we get a blocking in the back called, and we get to start inside of our own 10-yard line. That's never how you want to start a game. I thought the offense actually did somewhat of a decent job trying to flip the field. We picked up a couple of first downs to flip the field. We just didn't execute a punt to which, again, we look at our MOs and field position and our ability to flip the field in a kicking game. We weren't able to do that. Clarion hit a big play early, got us on our heels. They go up 7. I thought the response by our offense after that, Joe, was actually really tremendous. We went on a long drive. We got ourselves into some trouble from a penalty standpoint. We got called for a hold, which put us into an incredibly 3rd and long. We converted on that. We ended up putting the ball in the end zone, tied at 7. I thought Isaac on that drive was really efficient. Teagan Brown for us was obviously, when you have 10 catches for $154 and a touchdown in his debut as a starting wide receiver for us, he made a lot of noise. Armani had, I think, let me look at the stats, 8 catches for almost 100 yards and a touchdown. Isaac was 30 of 47 for 324. He had the 2 touchdowns. So there were some things that we did well. We just, again, we couldn't get out of our own way. I look at a 7-7 ball game, Joe. We have the ball 1st and 10 from the 20, and it's literally just like last week at IUP. We fumble it away, and Clarion hits a 55-yard run. They go up 14-7. We come down the next series, and we were moving the football really well. We hit some chunk plays. I thought Isaac did a really good job in that series of playing quarterback. We were hitting some RPOs. Brian popped the runner too. We were hitting everything that they were giving us. Unfortunately, we just kind of sputtered out, and we missed a field goal. And again, you look at an opportunity there, man, instead of taking the lead, we end up fumbling it away. They score. They go up 14-7. We come back with an answer. Instead of making it a 14-10 game, we don't capitalize. Right before the half, we had an opportunity where we got them in a negative play on 3rd down. They attempted their fly sweep. We tackled it in the backfield right around midfield. Call a timeout with a minute to go. I felt like from a special team standpoint, there was a punt block opportunity that we missed earlier in the game. We were right there. And so when we call that timeout and we get them into punt formation, we go after it. We didn't execute it, but the unfortunate part was we put the ball on the turf on the 10-yard line right before the half, and Clarion scored with literally no time left to end the half. So then you're down you're down 2 possessions at that point. Instead of it being 14-7 and you come out, now you're down 21-7. They start the second half, move the ball a little bit. I thought defensively we tightened up and made some plays. Then they attempted the fake field goal. We stopped that. And then we get ourselves into a situation where we have to punt the football, and we dialed up the fake, and we just needed to create some momentum, Joe. At that point, really, when you think about it, we're down 2 possessions. I know we're in our own end, but these are plays that we've made, and we've made them time and time again. And you always joke with me off camera for everybody at home, I'm the riverboat gambler, and seems to be paying off. Well, we dial up an executed fake punt that is there, and we just don't capitalize on the throw to Jack Hollenbaugh. And unfortunately that's, in my opinion, at that point, it was tough to keep battling back. Credit to our kids. Look, we kept coming back. We had to kick a couple onside kicks. We shut them out in the fourth quarter, but at that point, it was too late, Joe.
Some of the other losses, you felt that there was a play here or there. Yeah. But, I think this one you just sort of have to tip your cap to Clarion and move on. We talk about the point of attack all the time. Yeah. And their young freshman offensive line, I thought, played extremely well.
They did.
And, you couldn't –
their young offensive line controlled the line of scrimmage. And then, unfortunately for us, I felt like there was some plays that we were able to get the run game going a little bit, especially with the RPO, because how aggressive their box was. But, Joe, when you go down multiple possessions, you got to throw the football to get back in the game.
Yeah.
And that's
you can't be running it with them running it too,
exactly.
Because then you literally run out of time.
Right.
And you had no choice, and you dug yourself a hole, and that's the thing that I think that felt different is even in some of the other games you could make your own momentum. It never felt like you were able to kind of get the foot on the gas, and
it was one of those games where they were in control. And we did everything we could to get that momentum back. That's the thing where I know, look, the third down, this was 3rd and long, and Teagan went up over a guy on a go ball, had a tremendous 50-50 catch, which is great to see because I felt like that is something that we've been a little lacking outside on the perimeter. And he took full advantage of that. I thought Isaac threw a great ball. That's the thing where I know we threw the one interception, and it was a read where I know Isaac wanted it back, but I thought he played quarterback really well. Again, what they were giving us, he was able to really dissect that with the RPO game and then in the pass game. But at that point, when you get down multiple possessions and you got to kind of get back into that rhythm on the offense, it's tough for anybody.
Yeah, certainly not a great day weather-wise, but both teams had to play in it. You can't make the excuses. It just was, quite frankly, a poor performance on our part, and we're going to talk about in the 2 segments from now what that's going to be doing to rectify in the final 3-game stretch of the season.
Well, look, the only thing we know how to do is continue to work and get better, Joe, and we'll certainly talk about that. Like I said, there's nobody that's sitting in here painting a great picture. I'm sure if you bring Teagan up, he'll tell you what my message was today in the team meeting. It's, look, we got to get back on the horse and we got to ride. That's the thing that ultimately I look at what we've been able to do here in my short tenure, and this is my 3rd year and my 3rd season, but I pride ourselves on physicality and discipline, and those 2 things were not on display Saturday. Our guys know it. Our coaching staff knows it. We're not making excuses about that. We've got to be better, myself included, and we're going to get back on the horse and continue to ride. It's that simple.
Jake Nulph Show, live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake here in Edinboro. The aforementioned Teagan Brown will join us in the next segment. He was the 814 Outdoor Sports Player of the Game. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, thanks to Billy Carell and the staff. Great food and certainly a great venue each and every week here for the Jake Nulph Show. Quick timeout. Teagan Brown when we come back.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back to the Jake Nulph Show, live here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Certainly a gloomy Saturday with a gloomy result, but one of the few very, very bright spots. Teagan Brown, the 814 Outdoor Sports Player of the Game. 10 catches, 150-some yards, a touchdown, a couple of mosses, as the kids call them. But I gotta ask, because literally Mike Watkins game time decision, wasn't able to go. Thad Stanfield pretty late in the process. How difficult of a week did you have an idea not only that you were going to get to play, but you were going to, you usually are the fourth wide receiver. You were wide receiver 1 this past Saturday. Did you have any idea that neither Mike nor Thad were going to be able to go? And obviously Jake LaRue is hurt as well. You guys were really thin at that, and you really made the most of your opportunity.
Yeah, I knew there was a possibility they wouldn't play. I was getting a lot of reps during practice, so me and Ike kind of got a connection through that, and I knew I had to step up and fill the role.
Now, certainly the opportunity, and obviously this season not gone the way that anybody wants it. The opportunities in front of you. You got 3 games left here, and really an opportunity to jump off into next year. I know nobody wants to turn the page to next year, but you're a young guy. And, if the injuries in that room continue, you're probably going to be the featured guy the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's just I've been preparing, these past 2 years, I'm going to play every snap because you never really know when your name's going to be called. And I think it's important to stay prepared no matter what.
Now, I did want to ask how different – you mentioned that you and Ike had a bit. Was anything called differently for you, or is it just when you bump up into that number 1 spot, number 2? Armani had a great game as well, but was it just different? Was the game plan any different than from previous weeks? Because, again, I don't mean this in any disrespect, but let's be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of tape out there on you that would suggest you could be that kind of receiver and climbing the ladder, making contested catches. We just hadn't seen it. Did Coach DeMayo change anything with the game plan for last week?
I don't think there was any change. It was just, if Mike was playing, he was in. If he wasn't, I was in. And, it's just about making the plays and just being ready.
Now, I'm always curious, your path to Edinboro, how'd you get here? Where are you from? What's your major?
I'm from Severn, Maryland. I went to Archbishop Spalding High School. My major is business administration with a concentration in finance.
Now, you're a Maryland boy. So, now did you know Thad prior? Did you know anybody on the team that's currently here?
I didn't really know. I knew of Thad, but we weren't really friends. But when I committed, he texted me, and that's when we started to get, a bond.
Now, you're Maryland high school football. Some of the competition down there pretty stiff. What's it been like making the transition here into the PSAC? Yeah,
I like to say the league I played in was pretty competitive. I joke with a lot of people up here and they about the difference, and I think the competition in high school ultimately got me ready because a lot of people I was facing, they're at D1 colleges now.
What type of schools did you play in the league that you played in high school?
We played Gonzaga. That's where Caleb Williams is from. We played Mount St. Joe. Teams like that were really good.
That's certainly a good. And the other thing that I'm always curious, because again, I don't think a lot of people realize just how good you have to be to play at this level. What was that transition like for you coming from high school into this league? And obviously you're a young guy, but you've been around a while. You're kind of working your way through the system. What was that like for you?
When I came in, I didn't really know anybody, and when I walked in, there, it's a difference between high school and college. They're bigger, faster, stronger, and just walking in, I was during the summer when I came in, I would during when we were training and stuff, I just noticed how different the speed was and how bigger and faster everybody else was, and I had to step up.
Now, with your degree, what would ideally, what sort of lot in life would you lead employment-wise?
Right now, I don't really have a direction yet, but I'm currently trying to get my real estate license, so that's a path that I can take.
Certainly an interesting field, no doubt. And of course, real estate is a little bit different depending on where you live, But back to football, Teagan Brown, marvelous game. Obviously the frustration, not the outcome that you wanted. And Coach Nulph and I always talk about, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. What can you take from that experience on Saturday turning the page as we get ready for Seton Hill?
It's just, and I still preach it to the freshmen now. It's just to stay ready. Like, you never really know when your chance is going to come, and I'm glad I got the opportunity, and I'm glad the coaches and the players trusted me.
Well, certainly a good performance, and we look forward to calling your name the next couple of weeks. Teagan Brown joining us here. It's the Jake Nulph Show live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake here in Edinboro. Coach Nulph is going to rejoin us. We're going to turn the page and get ready for Seton Hill, the Griffins, on Saturday on the Fighting Scots Radio Network, presented by ErieInjury.com. Jake Nulph when we come back.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Back here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, the Jake Nulph Show, as we've turned the page, getting ready for Seton Hill, the Griffins. I don't know what a griffin is, but it's either here or there. I think it's a mythical character. But Greensburg, it's an interesting atmosphere. It's an interesting setup.
It's a very tight setup.
Yes.
It's like arena football.
Coming up, the first win ever in program history over Indiana. Certainly, Daniel Day and the boys.
Impressive win.
Yeah, Daniel Day and the boys are riding high. The one thing that I've noticed is not only are they big, they are old.
Yeah, they got some miles on their tires for sure. When you look at 4 of their 5 offensive linemen are grad senior type kids. I look at this is a very balanced football team. They are good on offense, they are good on defense, and they were good on special teams. So, it's no surprise. I mean, look, they came out and they got off to a fast start, Joe, against Indiana. They went up 14. I think it was 14-0, and then Indiana kicked a field goal, made it 14-3. But they capitalized early on that momentum. I'll tell you what, Bales, number 5, the wideout,
big too.
He's a player. I remember him from last year. He gave us problems. He's big. He's physical. He's fast. He's a vertical threat. He does a lot after the catch. He's a home run guy. When he catches the football, Joe, he's going to drop the hammer on you. I really like their running back too.
Craggett's a good back, and I think a lot of times, when you're not from the traditional schools, you tended to get overlooked a little bit.
He's talented now.
I mean, you make an argument that Bale might be the best wide receiver in the league. I mean, he's the rare combination.
I know him in streets from Slippery Rock.
Yeah,
he's having a monster year. But Bale's again watching as far as opponents to date.
Rare combination of size and speed for this league.
Yeah,
usually it's one or the other, not both.
He's a complete player now, and again, I like what they do up front. I think their offensive line is big. They're physical. Coach Day does a great job of getting his guys. I mean, they come out, they're physical. I like the way they play, and I've even told him that, when we see each other on the camp circuits. I mean, he does a great job. I think their coordinators do a really good job defensively. I mean, look, they're not going to let you run the football. They get in the old 46 Bears defense, and they do a lot to disrupt and a lot of chaos. And, then they'll blitz, and then they give you some exotic looks there. They're secondary. They play a ton of man-free, Joe, so they're active. They're going to challenge you. This is a complete football team. I look at, their middle linebacker last year was an absolute stud. But, I mean, look, the Tama kid, number 8, he's picked up right where he left off from a year ago. They got a nose, number 1. He's big, physical.
That's the only thing that I've noticed that's different. Historically, Seton Hill always had like 8 310-pound D linemen. They don't have that. They don't have the size, I feel like, that in recent years they've had. But from
they're
big.
What
I've seen from them, the athleticism makes up for the size.
No, they may not be as heavy as they were previously, Joe. I can't speak to the previous teams, but I know they are physical. So what they may not have in the weight department, they do it in the weight room now. They had IUP's offensive line on skates this past week. And it was an interesting game to watch because you look at it, Seton Hill got off to a lead. IUP battled back. Seton Hill come out in the second half and got up to a lead. IUP battled back, and I really thought it was 28-25, Joe, in the fourth quarter. IUP had just scored. And They kicked off, and Seton Hill botched the kick. It was a well-placed football from IUP's place kicker, and they just muffed it, and IUP recovered it deep into Seton Hill's territory. And look, this is a credit to Seton Hill's defense. They held them to a field goal, made it a 28-all game, and it was 3rd and 28 with the drive that Seton Hill had that went ahead. And on 3rd and 28, they ran a draw, and you talk about their running back. He was shot out of a cannon, downhill, physical. He picked up 29 yards on 3rd and 8, and I believe that it was 2 plays later, Seton Hill scored to take the lead. But, look, that game went all the way down to a 4th and 10 on the 33-yard line. IUP threw a vertical ball in the end zone, Joe, and unfortunately the young man dropped it. It was a good throw and it was, but Seton Hill made the plays down the stretch. This is a group that a year ago, they come into our house and beat us up. And it was, again, a tie game at the half, and they physically imposed their will and beat us up at home. So we got an opportunity to go on the road, down to Greensburg, and another opportunity to just compete and get after it. We talk about this every week, the ability to hit the reset button, Joe, and that's not lip service. Every week for us is a different challenge, and we've got to turn the page from Clarion, and we got to get ready for Seton Hill because they certainly present some problems.
Now, you mentioned the team meeting. Without getting too deep into it,
you didn't ask Teagan that question?
No, I left that one for you. There had to be some commentary for some folks in the room that probably weren't pleased with what they heard.
No, I disagree with you there wholeheartedly, and I think that the thing that our guys really appreciate about me, and I think you do too, Joe, is my honesty. I'm never going to sugarcoat anything. We have real conversations as a football program and as a football team, and it starts with myself, with the staff, and then it trickles down to our players. And, we just weren't good enough. There's no sugarcoating. There was no browbeating. There was none of that going on. I literally speak from the heart with our guys, and anybody that knows me knows that's true. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I had a real conversation with our football team about the expectation and the standard, and we've got to be better. They know it. I know it. We don't need to beat the dead horse. We got to get back to work. Their only recipe that I know is work, and we're going to work. We've got to get back to the drawing board of how football is meant to be played, Joe. It's not checkers. It's not chess. Everybody now heading into week 9 has their injuries. We certainly do. We're not making excuses about it. We got to go, and we got to be physical. We practice physical, and when it comes down to it, the team on Saturday that is more physical with more desire and more tenacity is going to win the football game.
Now, we talk about, each and every week you improve or you need
getting better or getting worse.
So when you, outside of Teagan, Armani Bailey had a good game. I thought Ike made some good decisions.
Absolutely.
Who were some other guys that after obviously you were pretty disheartened immediately post game, but who were some of the other guys that you thought really after you got a chance to break down the film? Who were some of the other guys that stepped up?
Well, I thought that given the the pace of the play. Our offensive line, when we got into the trailing position of, hey, we're going to have to throw it all over the yard.
Still only one sack.
Yeah, did a really good job as far as protection, and I thought they created some seams in the run game too. I mean, when it all comes down to it, look, and it's everybody, and we talk about this, it's the ability to win your one-on-one, Joe, and that's where Clarion won their one-on-one. We didn't win their one-on-one. Like I said, when you turn the ball over 3 times, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to have much success. There were areas that we were good, and then there was areas that we weren't good. And that's the thing. This is what we talk about, is the inconsistency. We were extremely inconsistent on Saturday. We go and we do some really good things and put together some really good drives and really good stops. And then you put the tape on and we're doing things that, again, I told our guys today, I don't recognize that. I don't know who those guys are out there, but that's not what we do, and that's not who we are. We put it on tape, so that is exactly what we were Saturday, but we got to have that switch flipped and get on it, and we got to get ready for Seton Hill.
Got to give the people what they want. 2 reasons you win, 2 reasons you lose.
Line of scrimmage. Okay, there's a thought, right? The ability up front, because we are going to be challenged with their front as far as their defensive line and linebackers, and then their offensive line and tight ends, because I just mentioned the offensive line play, Joe. They got 2 tight ends that I really like that are very physical in the run game as well. So the ability to control the line of scrimmage, and then the turnover battle. I mean, look, if you've watched the Cal game from the previous week with the, they played Cal before they played IUP, Joe, and literally they were down 14-0 in the first 3 minutes of the game, and Cal hit a shot for a touchdown, and then Seton Hill threw a pick 6, and before you knew it, it was 14, and then they're chasing the game. So then they turned the ball over a couple other times too in the first half there. So we have to create those takeaways, and we certainly can't give them up. So if you're looking at my tail of the tapes for the 2 win, 2 lose, line of scrimmage and turnovers. What a surprise, right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that, obviously the vast majority of football games are determined by, but when you start looking at some of the sizes and, the responsibility and, the gap of discipline, and I think that's where, you're going to have to be sharp because of, some of the size that's being lined up against.
Yeah, and that's every week, man. Welcome to the PSAC.
Certainly is, and after a frustrating loss on Saturday, we look forward to another opportunity. Hopefully you can make the trip to Greensburg.
12 o'clock kickoff.
11 o'clock airtime on the Fighting Scots Radio Network, presented by ErieInjury.com. Thanks for Teagan Brown, the 814 Outdoor Sports Player of the Game, for joining us. And, of course, Coach Nulph, everybody here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake in Edinburgh. Coach?
Go Burrow.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.